I'm here with another book review. This is book 5 in the Earthborn Saga. This is the Crusade of Vengeance. Now a lot happens in these books, so I have my notes pulled up because it's a lot and I'm tired, so I can't really process things at the moment. So let's go ahead and get started. I will read you the summary and then we will jump into my thoughts and the overview of the book. The tides are turning, but is it enough to save humanity? When the Empire's last gamble pays off, the Devourer's end finally seems inevitable. Armed with Adler fighters and Sentinel's devastating cannon, the Devourer's reign of terror might be on the brink of ending. But the colossal enemy has one last trick up its sleeve, and it is spreading a devilish evil across the Empire in a desperate bid at victory. Armed with city-sized masses of stinking Devourer flesh, these psychic nightmares that consume life are being warped in from deep space to wreak havoc on the Empire's core worlds. And even as Rex powers Sentinel's cannon to obliterate the Devourer's latest monstrosities, a darker evil waits in the wings, a force that dwarfs all other threats. Advanced weaponry meets arcane entities, and the very fabric of the universe hangs by a thread. Last book, we learned that the Devourers are one Devourer, right? If I remember correctly, it is now a parasite. So Hunt actually dips too far into the Dark Realm this time. I believe it's whenever he was powering up Sentinel. And so much so that his veins kind of turn black. He dips a bit too far, I think twice, and that goes black. He gets a shadowy texture kind of over his eyes. There is also heavy foreshadowing for what's to come. It's definitely building up to something great. There's a lot of back and forth between Francis and the Dark Realm, persuading Hunt to leave Lily behind and more or less bear an heir with Mafalda. They are on the Colprakian little base. It's kind of hidden from everything, and someone sabotages its chamber that the Emperor and Lily are in, and Karnan, are in to like keep them healed and alive, basically. So there's a little sabotage with that because the Colprakians are a hubris race, and some of them don't agree with the Emperor taking over their little section of life. But most of them seem to really like Remus and approve of him being their leader, especially with the promise that one day that they will have their own world again, their own way of life, their own life again, you know, because they're just kind of in a volcano. That sentient orb that Bessemer has in his ship, because they were going to take him to the gate, which is like a super powerful place that he wants to go. Whenever he gets to the false location, the orb throws a fit and he's quick enough to let it go. And like there was like, if I remember correctly, like a less than 20% chance that he would have made it out alive, and he made it out alive. Then he ends up going on these trips to find artifacts. The first artifact he has to retrieve doesn't exist, and he ends up meeting an entity, basically a revered god of these ghost people that live there. Are these ghost people, the people that used to live? Ghosts. There are these ghosts there that feed this entity, and it's the Lord of Light. He is basically offered up as a sacrifice and lives because the Lord of Light likes him for some reason. He goes find another artifact and is inside these pyramids on a different planet. He gets a really cool sword that helps him cleave through these creatures that basically, in my mind, were skulls. I don't remember what they're called at the moment, but they're dangerous. And he ends up defeating them and saving the people that were in these pyramids that were doing research and whatever whatnot. And then he ends up blowing a whole huge crater in this planet because he makes a deal with these other alien species that locked themselves inside this cube so that they can ascend to the light realm. And it didn't go as planned, so they're in this cube and they want Bessemer to help. Bessemer's like, I want the cube to remain intact when you're done. They're like, no. And then they have a lot of deliberation, and then finally they're like, okay. And basically this cube blows a crater in the planet, and then he gets to use it later as well to defeat Devourers. So that was really cool to watch. He also finds a base of Quiche Forbandai androids. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but my brain really likes the way it's said, that way I just said it. So like that specific word would just get stuck in my head. Quiche Forbandai, Quiche Forbandai, Quiche Forbandai. It is just stuck in my head. But he finds a bunch of androids or whatever, and they're like, no. They basically think he's an enemy of humans, and they torture him until they ask him who he works for, and he's like, what do you mean? They're like, what do you mean you don't work for the enemy? And then he's like, no, I work for Francis. So long story short, he's in immense pain all the time now because of a misunderstanding that caused him to be tortured. Anyway, that is one of the storylines that goes through this book. I feel like it's a lot easier just to go by character with these books because it happens in succession, I guess. Or like it's like one character, another character, another character, another character. At least now it is. In the beginning, in the first book, it was like, here's a character and another character and another character in one chapter. But now it's like one whole chapter is like a whole short story of this specific character. Who's next? Let's do Lily. We don't see a lot of Lily, just in general, which makes sense. She almost dies, lives because of the medallion she's wearing. Oh, and Welter goes through, of course, his grieving period or whatever, and the Emperor wants Lily to tell him to open up about it. Eventually he does. So that's good. That's closure, and it helps him a lot. And I think it also helps Lily because she gets to open up about her stuff. They actually delve into Welter's mind and he gets the closure he needs with Amra, which is really, really nice. Lily also gets a little visit from Amra in her dreams. And that's where we find out that the darkness inside of Lily is actually killing her a lot faster than her terminal illness is. So Lily has like no time left. And Welter thinks a Fosath could help her. Now that's outrageous, but there is a rebel Fosath that they go to try to find. Also, Welter goes on a little bit of a trip to get the things they need to fix the room that keeps Emperor and Karnan and Lily alive. Because, you know, that breaks from sabotage. But they go there and Welter kind of gets to show how bad boy he is and it's cool. But that's before the whole Lily thing. And then Welter actually goes to interrogate this Colprakian that attacked the base, or the leader of it, and finds out where the Fosath they actually are, so they head out for the Fosaths. Now Mafalda, we know that the Dark Realm wants Mafalda and Hunt to produce offspring. We also, if you remember Powers from the end of the book, I think I talked about her a little bit. She has kind of a little episode and passes out. I think she goes unconscious. Anyway, Crancis wants Mafalda and Hunt to go into her mind. Not Soliana, because he has ulterior motives. Because he's like, I ship you two, and so does the Dark Realm get together. Like, in girl terms, I guess. Anyway, whenever they go in, if I remember correctly, the parasite is there, and it removes Mafalda's affinity for the light entirely. Like, her red hair turns black. She does not feel the light anymore, and she's a little off kilter when she comes out of that. Powers also dies. Gromiko goes berserk, and Hunt takes the blame for that because they don't really know what happened, and Mafalda is terrified that she did it. And Hunt's like, no, it was me, so he takes the blame, so Gromiko goes crazy. He needs to cool off. And then there's a big twist, and I was like, no, it is great. And the big twist in here, I don't want to give it away because I was like, what? I mean, it makes sense when you look back, but I'm like, what? I know there's a bunch of little things I'm missing all up in there. Long story short, I love this series. I've said that in the past 4 videos. This series is quite large, as in thick books, but they are 100% entertaining, and I love these characters. There are some heart-wrenching moments in this book that just had me go, Bissett does an amazing job at connecting you to these characters and relating to these characters, and you can't help but love them. At least one of them. I just want Gromiko to have somebody who likes him. Like in the first or second book, whenever they went into that temple or the shrine or whatever, and there was that ghost and he's like, I like you. I don't know how to speak to you, but I like you. And then Wells had to translate, and he was irritated because he does not like Gromiko. Yep, I said that right. I also want someone to like Frank, because Gromiko, that's it. Gromiko and Frank are kind of 2 sides of the same coin, as in they both have huge personalities and they refuse to be ignored. And I just want someone to like them. I do enjoy that Lily is a little gentler with Frank in understanding. I love this book. I recommend you read it. I recommend you get all of the books. And if you haven't seen my other videos on this book series, the link is below. The link to this book is below, along with the description, if you are interested. Yeah, I love these books. That's all. I'm just gonna keep saying that over and over. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the books. And I will see you in the next one for the next book. Bye!